We have a series in the All-Canadian matchup with the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Vancouver Canucks as, once again, what a night it was a couple of nights ago, and what a night we're expecting later on tonight when these two teams clash for a fifth time. You have, big goal after big goal, very late goal after very, very late goal. After Besser scores that goal, you're thinking, okay, that this is just... It is what it is, right? Vancouver just has that thing in this series, specifically Besser just has that thing in this series, but nope. Bouchard comes up with a really, really big play. And I think, honestly, coming out of Game 4, the right team won that game. The Edmonton Oilers, I think, were the far superior team in Game 4. And it really, they get the result that they deserved. And the big guys showed up, but they also had a couple other guys step up. Like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins came up with a goal at a very necessary time. But Draisaitl hammers one home. McDavid sets it up with a nice cut into the middle. Obviously those guys are going to be going to get going, but it was a bit more of a full team effort from the Edmonton Oilers in this one, and that leads them to this victory. They controlled this game throughout. They defended well, I will say, and they were able to pick up the win. On the Vancouver side, it was simply not good enough. You talk about 60-minute efforts being needed. That's in the regular season. In the playoffs, it needs to be 60 minutes of everything you got at that particular moment, and Vancouver gave about 15 of that. Just not enough. Just simply not good enough. And I do look at this as more Vancouver losing it than Edmonton winning it. I just think Vancouver made life very, very easy on the Edmonton Oilers in Game 4, and so that's going to be a big key coming up here in Game 5, is can the Canucks get that back? That energy they had to start Game 4 where they came out and just beat down the Oilers. Can they find that one more time? I think they have it. All the talk is that they have it. They have the coach who can get it out of them. They have the talent that can do it. It just now is that talent needs to step up and make those plays. But this was just, it was a bad performance. And when you're facing a goalie who hasn't played in a month, 19 shots isn't enough. I don't care if you're just wasting a couple to just get him on goal. Just something. Test this player and make him beat you, and they just were not able to do that in this particular game. You need to test him more and more. Sorry, we have another cat here, and she just jumped off the desk and kicked everything away, but we're gonna leave all that in. And anyway, they needed to test him a whole lot more, but they also had a couple things that really come back to bite them, and one was the suspension for Carson Soucy, because out he goes, in comes Noah Juleson, and he makes the play that I think really shifted this game. When he steps up on Ekholm on that 4-on-2, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1, you can't be making that play. You absolutely 100% in that situation have to make the safer play, and I get it's the playoffs. Your team needs a spark. You're supposed to be the guy who can come out there and light that fuse. That was not the time. That was not the place. That was a horrendous play from Noah Juleson. It ends up at 2-0, and at that point, that felt like it was a step too far for Vancouver. Even though they do get the late goal that ties it up, it still felt like they had to exert a lot to get back into that one, and they just didn't have it at the end. But you're not going to come down on this game and be like, well, if Noah Juleson plays better, they're going to win. It's Elias Pettersson. All of this is on Elias Pettersson. He needs to be the guy who steps up. And look, I still think Vancouver wins this series, to be perfectly honest with you. I still think that this is going to be a Canucks team that comes away with a series victory. I just think they are a more complete team than Edmonton is. But they need to get Pettersson going, and with that, they have new lines today for Vancouver. At least to start, it'll be Suter with Miller and Besser. You'll have Höglander, Lindholm, and Pettersson, and then you have the third line. Bluger goes back between Garland and Joshua. I like this shift a lot for Vancouver. I think they need to get Pettersson going. Lindholm has been really good with Dakota Joshua and with Connor Garland in this series, and I think Höglander is a secret weapon that they need to unleash here soon. Hi, Cat. They need to step it. They need him to step up, and now to get the most out of Elias Pettersson and put him in the situations best to succeed. They really need to get that going, and I think they will. And then Bluger with Joshua and Garland. Like, I know Lindholm has been with them for a bit, and if you've only been paying attention to this team in the playoffs, that seems like a big shift. That's what they were doing for most of the regular season, and that line was very effective, and that line providing that third line depth is what got Vancouver into a point where they were threatening for the President's Trophy until the last couple of weeks of the season. So I do think that line back together is going to make this Canucks team a bit more complete, and hopefully from their sake anyway, they'll be able to get Elias Pettersson on a bit of a roll. Again, apologies for the cat. Yeah, hey, it's okay. Apologies for some of the noise going on in the background here. The joys of having a at-home studio. Anyway.